Hello, good day. Today we have Robert in here, and he has quite an interesting story. He's from 2015 in the cryptocurrency, so I decided to make a video so he can share his experience and his advices related to cryptocurrency. So I'm so excited to make this video. I'm sure he has a lot of great advices and feedback to give us related this, as Bitcoin is a world-changing new currency. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from and what do you do?
I'm from Ireland, and I'm a professional trader in the cryptocurrency industry. Yeah, I mean, my background's in engineering. I got a degree in engineering, and I didn't decide to go down that route because I found this like way more interesting.
Alright, that's cool. Would you say your life changed since you started doing this?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I got into the crypto industry, I was working in a job I hated. I was stressed, I was anxious, almost daily, and it took me, longer than it should have to quit that job. And then I spent about a year crashing on couches with my mates, and being a bit of a social failure as far as it looks. Like, I remember all my friends were doing graduate programs, and I was I was doing a part-time job for just working 20 hours a week, because I had a 20-hour rule with my friend that I was living with, saying that we couldn't work for more than 20 hours so that we could pursue the thing we were passionate about and wanted to build a life and a career in. And that was trading, and then I found cryptocurrency.
That's how it all started. Dedicating those 20 hours a week to something that you're passionate about.
Yes.
That's how it all started.
That's how it started.
That's amazing how you can give a little bit of time for something you like. How long are you doing this, like giving 20 hours a week for the cryptocurrency at first?
I don't do it anymore, but I was doing it for about a year, and you don't really realize how incrementally you learn, but then at some stage you're just so far ahead of everyone and you haven't realized it.
Yeah.
And those incremental gains I was making per year actually helped me get my job in the industry. I became an intern trader for a company, and that was in 2016, and the good times obviously went on to January 2018.
Wow.
Pretty much.
Was that a time when the Bitcoin reached $20,000?
That was December 2017. That was when a lot of retail were coming in, and they didn't know at the time, but they were buying at bad prices.
Yeah. Would you say you knew that was the bad time for people to buy Bitcoin? Did you know that?
Well, my background wouldn't have been in finance, or I wouldn't have had a lot of experience trading before this. So for me, what really drove that bubble was people actually like me were, there was like shame involved in selling.
Mm-hmm.
So like there'd be Reddit, where that was like Bloomberg for cryptocurrency back then. Still is to a degree now, I would say. But what got upvoted to the top would normally be something about like HODL, which means hold on for dear life. So don't sell when the pressure's on. Yeah. And it kind of, everyone got this mentality that you just don't sell.
Because it's gonna go more up. That's the thought.
Yeah, but like it worked. It worked. Even me, I remember thinking like, I just had this no sell mentality, and after all this happened, because I didn't sell at the best times. But I was in it. I remember my first paycheck was like 5.5 Bitcoin. And because the price was so much lower, so like, I bought at great prices. I could have sold at better prices. But the expression that I coined from that was, if you were smart enough to sell the top, you wouldn't have been stupid enough to get there. So you shouldn't beat yourself up too much if you
that's true.
If you get it wrong. No one knows how high it could have went. People were selling at 3,000, 4,000, and they were like kicking themselves.
I remember people borrowing money from the bank so they can buy Bitcoin, and they join some some funny platforms, not the big ones, and I don't know how come was different steps, the platform they were like giving to them, how they win, and in the end they end up with £10,000 debts in the bank. and stuff like that. Was,
Oh, they like got in trouble. With
yeah. It was
Well,
really, I was like,
that's
wow.
a good sign that like we're at a market top actually when people start doing things like that. So it's like a cliche in trading, like when your taxi driver is talking about a stock, you should be selling it because like there's no one else to buy after him.
Yeah.
He's the last person to have heard about it. But when you see people, that's called like just leverage. He's taking on leverage, and he's probably not the only one doing it. So
Yeah,
like,
I think some people might have sold their apartments, their houses for doing that.
yeah,
Cars.
they're just going to have to like they're going to be forced to liquidate their bitcoins like later on if they buy at like really bad prices on leverage. So I'd always advise like just stay away from leverage completely, whether that's like on exchanges or you know borrowing money from a friend or a bank or whatever it is. There's no point.
Don't invest money. Don't
can
put money
only-
in that you cannot afford to lose, isn't it? That you.
Yeah. Any sort of gain you can get from using leverage, I guarantee you the downside of the consequences, the downside consequences are far worse than the upside rewards.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true. That's true. I'm curious. Can you tell us about Bitcoin and how did you start?
So Bitcoin is the first form of digital money that is decentralized in that no central authority can control the ledger of transactions. So it's built up upon a ledger. So each new
Yeah,
transaction
yeah.
that happens, you can see the history of where those Bitcoin have been and which addresses, all the way back to when they were first minted by the miners. That's where the revolutionary aspect of Bitcoin comes from. That it has no central authority. It doesn't require trust to transact with people. You don't need third parties. I got into it at the end of 2015, and I started working for one of the companies in the industry in 2016. And before that, I think I touched on it in the previous question, but I was pretty much not happy with. I've always been someone that questions, what you're being told to do. And
What do you think is best to buy today, and is it best to buy now?
the best advice I think I've heard for deciding when to invest is to dollar cost average, and not to guess. Is the market cheap or is the market expensive? So if you like, let's say you have a certain amount you want to invest, or you're getting paid every month. If you put a certain amount in every month, you're probably going to buy at good times sometimes and at bad times sometimes. But it's a nice way. It's like you're taking an average of whatever the price was over 12 months, maybe in the year. And I mean, that's always a good strategy. Trying to let your emotions dictate when you should buy or sell is never a good idea. Your emotions will be there when you don't want them to be there, and they will make you do stuff you don't want to do.
That's true. Like for example, when the money goes up or goes down,
Right.
then your emotion can interfere. You're not
wanna
sure, should I
chase-
sell it now or maybe should I just not sell it? Or...
You'll chase the market when it's going up,
Yeah.
and you'll dump the market.
Would you say that's a difficult time, like being in this trading, like trading cryptocurrency, chasing when it goes up and down?
It's stressful as well.
Yeah.
If you dollar cost average and you have like a clear game plan of if you're thinking about it investment wise, a few years, you'll remove the stress from your life too. Because if you're always someone that's there buying and selling, you're probably going to lose money, and B, you're wasting a lot of your time as well. So I think part of the question was there are other cryptocurrencies apart from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And certainly my view is that there's not just going to be Bitcoin in 10 years, and there's interesting token models that are, you can actually like compare it to like a stock price in some instances with like what the system is doing, and the token that represents that system is worth. So there's some, Ethereum is the second biggest cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
That certainly has a lot more potential to be utilized because it's got more features than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
My preference is probably towards Ethereum and the ecosystem within Ethereum. That's where I see all the innovation is happening on Ethereum. Maybe put something into Bitcoin, something into Ethereum, and the bigger your risk appetite, maybe weight it more towards Ethereum.
That's cool. Great advice. Can anyone buy cryptocurrency, or do you need to have a background knowledge first about it before you start?
anybody can buy it, but it's definitely something people should research a lot before they do buy it, because there's a lot of scams in the industry. It's a very unregulated industry, and you might come across something on the internet where you think you're buying Bitcoin, but really you're just giving your money away. So I would advise to use reputable exchanges, such as Coinbase, Kraken, Bitstamp. They'd be three of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Take the time to learn how the security of it all works. Do a good amount of research.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing that I think a lot of newcomers they won't really realize. But if you have control of your Bitcoin, like you have to trust yourself to be able to mine them, not forget how to access them, and also not expose what's called a private key on the internet. So if you're storing them on your computer and you go on
On the website,
yeah, and you go on strange websites, it might be gone because there's malware on some website you clicked.
You think it's better to put them on a wallet, on a digital wallet?
On a hardware wallet.
Hardware wallet.
A hardware wallet such as ones from Trezor or Ledger is advisable, because what happens there is the private key is never exposed to the internet. Even when you plug it into your computer, the private key stays on the. It's a hardware module. So even someone with an infected computer with malware that could steal your cryptocurrency, they wouldn't be able to if you used a hardware wallet. So I guess A, use a reputable exchange, and B, invest the money in a hardware wallet and store your cryptocurrency in the hardware wallet.
Can you give us some tips, advices to people who are interested in jumping into cryptocurrency?
Be patient with it. Take the time to like learn about it, and what I think most people do is like they just immediately want to buy because they're afraid of missing out. Like they think most people just get in because they think it's going to go to 1 million one day. Sadly, that's the reality of like why most people buy it. They just think it's going to make them rich. I don't think it's a get rich quick scheme. I think you're going to have to be patient. I think it could go up a lot in the next few years, but don't overexpose yourself to it either. And then the what I said in the previous question was like use a respected exchange, such as Coinbase, Kraken, or Bitstamp, or do your research on them. There's a lot. You'll know which ones are the legit ones, and get a hardware wallet if you're thinking about it as an investment as opposed to trading. And that would be the main bulk of it. And just I think that's it.
That's it. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you for being here, for giving us the tips, your advices, and from your experience, sharing your background in this industry, in the cryptocurrency. So
Sure.
thank you so much. Cheers once again.
Cheers, I finished mine.
Secret. we get one more.
Oh, I'll need them for all these mosquito bites. Apparently, they don't bite you if you drink enough.
Yeah.
might be a myth.
Do you consider this is the future and people will move towards cryptocurrency?
I think that there'll always be demand for assets that are not centrally controlled.
Yeah.
So like, if you look at like if you're thinking about it from investment point of view, why would people be investing in cryptocurrencies? Like, what's the appeal? Some of the attributes they have, I don't know if they're present in any other assets. So, for example, it's the only asset in the world I can think of that's not confiscatable. So, if you think about it, you own Bitcoin, like, it's very hard for a government to come and take that from you, which they did do with gold.
It's hard to be controlled.
It's very hard for any one jurisdiction to control it. It's very easy to bypass jurisdictional. There'll always be demand for currencies where when people are losing trust in other currencies that are centrally controlled. So the US dollar, if the Fed, the central bank there keeps printing money irresponsibly, there's got to be a reaction in some market to that. In all markets probably there will be, but people will look for alternatives because they think that the value of their dollars is not, it's just going to be worth less in a year or 10 years out, so they have to do something with it.